On today's show,
new season, new expectations. We debate which team is under the most pressure.
we also discuss the player with the most to prove, the Spurs' playoff chances, and if Charlotte should trade Kemba Walker.
And in Crossfire, which second-year player screams breakout potential?
Part 4 of the Starters' 50 Burning Questions starts now.
Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to Part 4 of the Starters NBA season preview. I'm Jay Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tass Mellis.
Hello.
Hello. To his right, the international man of mystery, taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friend.
Lily. And last, certainly not least, down yonder, that is the bearded one, that's Trey Kirby.
Hey-o!
Hey-o! All right, we're continuing to tackle the 50 burning questions about the upcoming NBA season, parts 1, 2, and 3. They're in the can. They're up on YouTube. Go check those out. But we go to question 31 here in part 4, and it's a good one. Which team is under the most pressure heading into this season?
I think it's the Blazers up there in the Pacific Northwest. They've lost 10 straight playoff games, and they know that. And they basically are sort of locked in with this team this year, next year, and even the following year. And Trey, you mentioned how they start pretty slowly these last couple of years. With 11 teams legitimately thinking that they're going to get into the postseason, they can't do that this year.
Right, for
and
sure.
if that happens, is there a trade pretty quick early into the season?
That's definitely a good question. They are in definitely the same boat as the Wizards. The Blazers have this huge contract and a bunch of good players. It seems like they got a really solid core. They just haven't been able to translate that into playoff success. Last season was a really good season for Damian Lillard. For the Blazers overall, everybody was excited to see them in the 3 seed, and then it was a pretty disappointing sweep coming in the first round. I think they got a little bit out-matchupped against the Pelicans, so maybe a little less cause for concern, but still, seeing that sweep was not good if you're a Blazers fan.
Yeah, nobody certainly saw the sweep coming. I think a few people thought maybe an upset because they weren't, even though they were 3 versus 6, there was only a couple of games different in the win-loss column there, but they just didn't match up well against Anthony Davis. But, you know, Terry Stotts, he's been there a long time now. He's probably under the pump a little bit as well. They have to get off to that good start and they have to perform.
Pump.
That's right.
Yeah, they are, but...
I just didn't know what that meant.
yeah, when you're under the pump, you're on the hot seat. But another team, to underperform, you have to have expectations. And I think the Denver Nuggets are right in that category now this season. They missed out on the playoffs by that last game of the season last year, and then they signed Nikola Jokic, that huge contract in the off-season. They have to make the playoffs. They can't be close. They can't be hovering around 500. They have to get in there. And a couple of things they need to improve. Defense on the perimeter and internally. I mean, Nikola Jokic gets a lot of the heat for being a bad interior defender, but they're actually the worst three-point defending team last year as well. And the Nuggets also have to learn how to win on the road. They've got that great advantage at the Pepsi Center. Teams often struggle to play there, but the Nuggets have to find a way to actually then go on the road and be able to win. They only won 15 games on the road last season. That's not good enough if you're trying to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, they not only signed the Joker to the max extension, they re-signed Will Barton, and they plan on starting him. You've talked about this a little bit before. They brought in Isaiah Thomas as a backup point guard, and you think he's going to help in the locker room.
Definitely the swagger.
They've got Jamal Murray, you know, going into his 3rd season. He should get better. You got Gary Harris. You got Paul Millsap. Trey Lyles has looked good. He should be coming off the bench too. So there are the pieces there. The ingredients are there. It's up to Coach Malone. You're right, to absolutely get this team in the playoffs, or he will be on the hot seat. And he's improved this team since he got hired. They started with the 33 wins. They got up to 46. Just missed out on the playoffs. Now they have to get into the dance. The expectations are there. They know it. They're already talking about it. And they say it's a good thing. We got to get into the playoffs. And it is. It should be. But you're right. They've got to improve defensively and improve winning on the road. And that usually goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
You're not going to outgun teams every night, especially on the road. You got to win some of these games with a little defense. So, and you said about the Blazers getting off to a hot start too. I would say the same with the Nuggets. I know the NBA.com preview pointed it out. They started 11-9 last year. You know, that's basically 500. That's not great. 10 of their first 15 games are at home. That's good. You got to get out to like a nice 10-5 start, because every one of these games, when we get into late March and into April, it's going to matter in terms of playoff seeding or just even getting in like we saw last year. So, yeah, I like the Nuggets as a team that's got a lot to prove, and that's just to get into the playoffs.
And Paul Millsap is healthy for them this year, a guy who's always overlooked every single season of his career. He's a little Al Horford-like. He's just a glue guy that shouldn't hurt them in any way. He should help them get off to that good start, because he was hurt for 3 months to start the season last year. Right?
So we got the Blazers and the Nuggets. Is there a team?
The Wizards.
In the Eastern Conference? The Wizards.
The Wizards are the Nuggets West.
Yeah.
Nuggets East.
Or the Blazers.
Nuggets East, Blazers East, whatever you want to call it. The Blazers and Wizards, they're right, the exact same scenario. The mirror images of each other. They both have excellent backcourts. They got some decent third guys, too. Some depth issues, I would say, on both teams are certainly the concern, and some of the parts to me is never greater, right? The players are always as good as they are, and they don't seem to really build on each other and take each other to the next level, especially with the Wizards. We'll see what bringing Dwight Howard into their locker room does. Is that going to be the thing that galvanizes them and pushes them towards a playoff berth and some success coming in the postseason? We shall see.
Yeah, and
A
Otto
little dubious.
Porter's their highest paid player. If he is great, then they're great, I think, because the backcourt's going to be very good. But they're an overlooked team now. Even in the Eastern Conference, you probably put 6 teams ahead of them. They are.
But they will think they're top 4 material. No, I mean,
classic.
but they
Yeah,
should.
no, I
They
agree,
should
yeah.
think they're top 4. I mean, you've got to believe that you are one of the best teams in the East. But from what we've seen over the last couple of years, a lot of sort of internal troubles really sort of derail their seasons.
All right, so we've got the Nuggets, we've got the Blazers, we've got the Wizards. Let's hear from you guys. Jump on Twitter, hashtag the starters. Which team is under the most pressure? For now, though, we move to question 32. Which player has the most to prove is your cue? Who's under the gun here?
I'm going with Karl Anthony Towns from the Minnesota Timberwolves because we know he's a fantastic player. Ever since he's come into the league, he's been able to put up numbers. Last year he was All-NBA and he was an All-Star. And in the offseason, he signed that huge contract extension. Come playoff time last year, it was their first time in, so we give him a little bit of a pass there. But I just didn't feel he was aggressive enough. And I think he's developing a bit of a reputation for not being almost tough enough. And I think he needs to do that on both ends of the floor, defensively and on the offensive end, particularly against the Rockets last year when Capella matched up with him. Capella took him out of a lot of contests. And I felt, because I know we talked about it on the show, I said, you've got to be more aggressive.
Yeah.
You always take a better offensive player over a better defensive player because you think the offensive player can win out. And we didn't see a lot of that. So now that he's got that big contract, we know there's a little bit of chaos there with Jimmy Butler. He has to be the guy who decides, this is my team and I'm going to take this franchise forward because he's a fantastic player. He's got very versatile skills. We've just got to now see him really take that next step and become a dominant player all year round.
To me, it's honestly both Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. Those two guys have been in the spotlight all summer, basically just being called out by Jimmy Butler for not playing hard enough and not progressing enough to actually make a difference rather than just getting to the playoffs. It should have been exciting for Timberwolves fans to go to the playoffs for the first time in 14 years, but they made it, and the summer has really been a disaster. You mentioned the GM survey. From number 1 did not mention it all is not good. Andrew Wiggins, I feel like, has kind of become an afterthought on this team, the team he got to first. Both of these guys, if they can put a chip on their shoulder, they're both super talented, can score 20-something a game. They got to respond to criticism. We'll see how they do it.
Talking shoulders. I'm interested to see what Markelle Fultz does this year after last year with that injury / the yips. I mean, that whole mental and physical thing. He put in the work this offseason, according to his shooting coach, Drew Hanlon. He put up 160,000 shots, and in preseason,
Sounds like Lee Ellis's summer. That's all he does.
the number was 150,000, and Drew Hanlon said, check with my interns. It's 160,000.
Wow.
Yeah, apparently. And the shot looks a lot better. Better. And their confidence looks a lot better.
Yeah.
And obviously, it couldn't get worse than last season.
What
the
do
way it
you
looked.
need to see from him though this year that you'll be like, okay, yeah, this guy was worth a number 1 pick?
Yeah, I mean, he's never going to be Jason Tatum. I think throw that out the window. I think he's just got to be a serviceable player out there, right?
Yeah, let's start there anyway.
On this team.
I
On this
think-
team, if he's starting,
Yeah.
he's got a lot of talent around him.
He's got to be more than a serviceable player to have been taken number 1 overall, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's got the talents and the skill
Yeah.
set.
Yeah. And also he's got that defensive awareness as well. Like, I think he's actually a pretty good two-way player.
big.
Yeah, and if we can sort of see that confidence grow, get a few more minutes, get bit more responsibility with the ball offensively, his whole game can grow from that. The Sixers, there was talk about maybe trading Fultz, trying to get him, dangling him in a few deals, but they ultimately kept him. I think they know that if they can get the best out of him, he is going to be a fantastic upgrade on what they had last season.
Yeah, that defense is pretty important because we watched him against Boston last year, and he didn't play whatsoever. JJ Redick was getting picked on.
Yeah.
And so if Markelle Fultz can take that spot in the starting lineup, him and Ben Simmons, that's a big boy starting backcourt.
Yeah.
Everything is sort of about the Celtics for the Sixers to me from the outside looking in, like it is about the Warriors for the Rockets.
All right, very quickly here, I'll throw one more in. D'Angelo Russell with the Nets. He's on the last year of his rookie deal, sort of playing still for a good spot in this league. Is he a starting point guard? Can he prove that to either the Nets or to another franchise? He's only 22 years old. He's shown like flashes of brilliance, but consistency and shot selection. I know John Schumann was talking about it on the blog table. Like, his defense comes and goes too, so he's got to really put together a strong season here. Spencer Dinwiddie sort of breathing down his neck there, wanting those minutes, wanting that role. So I'd like to see if D'Angelo Russell can prove, I am a starting point guard in this league. He's taken number 2 overall. I mean, people thought that when he was picked there, so I'd like to see if he can either prove it with Brooklyn or another team in the future and get a deal. All right, quickly here to their third question, 33rd overall. Which player needs a nickname? Who needs a nickname in this league?
Well, I personally love the philosophical Kyrie Irving. I think we're in about year 3. He apologized for saying the earth was flat this summer because he understands the power that his words has. At the Forbes Under 30 Summit, he also said, as Nicole Yang wrote down, that in the future, I don't know if you guys will see me, Kyrie said. I'll probably be in 800 acres in Texas in the middle of nowhere, off the grid in a self-sustaining community, just living with no power. Like, this is fun and all, but technology is just killing me, man. I'm calling him the Bhagwan.
The Bhagwan!
This guy's the Bhagwan now. I know he's read Osho's books, also another name for the Bhagwan, so I think Kyrie would be into it. Also, Wild Kyrie works, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun when he's out living on the ranch.
I wish he played for the Suns, though, if he was the Bhagwan. He'd have the orange there with the Phoenix Suns. Okay, you're going with Kyrie.
Jason Tatum is a guy that I don't know if he needs a nickname. JT is fine with me, but he's such a smooth guy. I'm fine with initials for a name. And DeAndre Ayton, I don't like saying one or the other. He's a two-name guy for me already.
Yes.
He's not an Ayton. He's not a DeAndre.
Right.
So maybe a DA. We miss you, David Aldridge.
Possibly.
Yeah, DA. I'm fine with initials instead of forcing it.
I checked out Tatum on Basketball Reference. You know how they have the nicknames there? One of them was Taco J.
I
And
love
I was
it.
like, wow,
I love
Taco
it.
Trey, Taco J?
Got a new favorite player.
All right, so maybe Tatum, maybe Ayton, maybe Kyrie. Let's hear from you guys. Which player needs a nickname?
Wow, mid-season form, this camera crew.
All right, when we come back, we're going to discuss whether the Hornets should maybe just rip off the Band-Aid and look to trade Kemba Walker this season. That and a whole lot more. Don't go anywhere. Jimmy's back, and so are the starters. We're right into the up-down report. Let's see those thumbs up or thumbs down. Question 34 overall, guys. Are you up or down on Jimmy Butler having already ruined the Timberwolves season?
No.
No?
No. I think he may have saved the season.
Interesting.
Explain.
Because this team was playing horribly in the preseason. It does not look like Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins are ready to take that next step leading this team. You got their point guard, Jeff Teague, saying, you see, the other teams, they got together during the summer. We didn't. You can't start slow in the Western Conference. Jimmy Butler came, they had their best practice. They literally said we had our best practice because a guy came and had his first practice with the team.
And told everyone and flipped everyone off.
Yeah, they were playing hard. They have been getting killed in the preseason.
But you don't truly believe Jimmy Butler's going to come back to another practice, do you?
He said he would.
Wow.
I do. I think he could play into the regular
This is
season.
toxic.
And maybe he pushes Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins into that leadership role a little bit more. They haven't been ready in the preseason to take that next step.
You mentioned the toxic relationship, Skeets, and that's going to be the problem for me we've seen in the past with the Dwight Mayer in Orlando, the melodrama in New York. These kind of things linger over the season. I think at least until Butler is gone, until they finally make a move, this is going to hang over the teams, and even then, it could continue to happen throughout the season. Even if he's moved, just this sort of funk to start the season is not good.
I think it's the Wolves' fault, though. If they wanted to trade him, because he told them a couple of weeks ago, trade me, and they haven't been able to make that deal yet. Apparently, they were close to the Miami Heat over the weekend. Things didn't fall through. Jimmy's an alpha dog. He wants to go out there and win. And he feels that those guys, Towns and Wiggins, who are getting paid $340 million over the next 5 years, aren't the guys who deserve to be paid that sort of money if they're not going out there being leaders. Jimmy sent that organisation a message. These guys are good players, but they're not yet at that level they need to be at. Jimmy doesn't want to be around them. Jimmy wants out.
It is funny. His name is Jimmy.
Jimmy is right, though. They're not. They haven't been ready to take that step in the preseason. This team was going to go into October and November losing games. If this preseason is any indication, you can't do that in the Western Conference. They were going to get slammed. And Jimmy Butler is their best player on their first practice, and he showed that they need him to win, just like last year when he was out and they had a losing record.
Do you think the Wolves regret, though, having Jimmy Butler come to this practice after obviously
No,
all the
Tibbs loves
tweets
it.
going out from Woj and then the sit-down with Rachel Nichols? This was planned, too, from Jimmy Butler's side of things, to probably try and help his case
For sure.
to get traded.
Yeah.
But I would think the Wolves regret having now him showed up to practice and this getting out. They look like a clown organization.
Yeah, but what do they expect, though, really? I mean, they've got Jimmy there, and they weren't able to really surround him with those players who are going to bring out the best in each other. I mean, again, it falls back on the organisation. They've got a superstar player. You've got to make sure that he wants to stay there. He looks around at the rest of the team and he's like, these guys they're not performing.
All right, let's hear from you guys out there in the Twitterverse. Hashtag the starters, thumbs up or thumbs down. Next one, let's keep it going here. Question 35. Are you up or down on the Hornets looking to trade Kemba Walker this season? I guess the old blow it up.
Yeah.
Down, and Lee says, yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's time to move on. Kemba's been a great player for that organisation. We know the fans absolutely love him there, but I think the Hornets, they had a good little run. They made the playoffs a couple of times, but I think Kemba would be better suited to an organisation where he's perhaps a chance to be competing for playoff success and even potentially for a championship. He's not going to see that in Charlotte this season.
I can definitely see Kemba wanting to go somewhere else to try and win a little bit more than he has in Charlotte. But for the Hornets, it doesn't make sense to me just because they have so many other big contracts that are still going to be around for a long time. Guys who might not be on a huge deal like an MKG but aren't quite living up to it. There's way more steps than just getting rid of Kemba to have this be a total rebuild. And when you think back to the 15-16 season, nobody expected them to win 48 games. Maybe the same sort of thing happens this year. You just have a good season, things click, you make a run at the 8th seed.
I think they get in, and Kemba Walker is on their team. You got to go for it, I think. It's going to be really hard to blow it up. This is the season to do it. Plus, they have their All-Star weekend. You don't want to.
That's right.
Want that damper on it
interesting.
to going
Got to
into
have an
February.
All-Star.
All right, question 36 overall. Are you guys up or down on this season finally being the season that the Spurs missed the playoffs?
Wow.
No.
Down.
Wow.
You're
Bunch of
all saying
believers.
down,
Yeah.
despite some unfortunate news coming out of Spurs camp recently with DeJounte Murray, the bad injury to the knee there. He's going to be out for a while here. You're still convinced
We
with DeRozan
believe.
and Aldridge that they get in.
It'd be tough to see them have a great defense like they do year in and year out, but they did it last year without Kawhi Leonard. This year, now, DeJounte Murray's not going to be there. I don't know how they do it, but I still think they're going to pull it off. They're just masters, and there's just a lot of guys that can come in and fill in those minutes with Derek White and Patty Mills. They're old, and that's the really scary part. You're starting Pau Gasol, you're starting DeMar DeRozan, not a guy known for his defense. You're starting Rudy Gay. It's just faith. It's just faith in Greg Popovich. 6 years in a row, a top 3 defense. Without Kawhi last year, I think they do it again.
Yeah, I think all Derek White needs to do is distribute the ball and play defense. That's going to fill the gap of what they're missing at point guard. And then Patty Mills comes off the bench. He gives them a bit of a spark. But Popovich just knows how to win. The Spurs just don't know how to lose. So they're going to win 45 games.
21 straight seasons in the playoffs. Every time we think, oh, they don't have enough, they have enough. These guys are going to show up and play well for Popovich, whether it's Bryn Forbes, Derek White. There are guys who are going to play well that we're not expecting.
That's fair, but you say they're going to win 45 games. That may not be enough in this crazy
47.
Western Conference. Okay, you're bumping it up. All right, final one here. Question 37 overall. Are you guys up or down on Dirk passing Michael Jordan on the NBA's all-time scoring list this season? Oh, Lee is shaking his head already.
It's not going to happen.
You seem so down on
I've crunched the numbers.
Yeah.
He needs 1,105 points to pass him. That's about 14 points a game over 82 games.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to play 82 games. He's already going to miss the start of the season. So if
Yeah.
he plays 62 games, he needs 18 points a game.
Too many
That's
numbers.
too tough.
Yeah.
It's too tough. The consolation prize is he will overtake Wilt Chamberlain. So
You're
And then
asking,
LeBron's going to overtake.
he's going to stay in the same spot, but he's at least going to jump over Wilt.
Okay.
you're asking him to score a heck of a lot more than he did last season when he played 77
Yeah.
games,
Right.
and he's already injured. He's getting older. There's no way he's going to play more games and score more points. It's just not going to happen.
Look, you guys are making really good points, but I'm still going up because I want Dirk to do it. Like you mentioned, he actually had a decent season last year,
Yep.
45% from the field, 41 from 3. He just got to get some more shots up. Maybe if this is his last season, a guy like Luka Doncic wants to hook up Dirk, maybe get him over the hump, maybe play with DeAndre Jordan, gets him a few more easy looks. If he can get that usage percentage up into the 20s, he can make a run.
All right.
But MJ,
Yeah, it's
well,
only
do
six,
it, Dirk.
6 threes a game is all he needs to make.
We'll be
Easy.
pulling for him. We'll be pulling for him. All right, when we return, we're going to step into the crossfire to debate which second-year player is most ready for a breakout season and a whole lot more. Don't go anywhere. You're watching The Starters.
Welcome to Crossfire. Here's how this will work. The champion and the challenger will go head-to-head in 3 rounds of questions. At the end of it all, I will declare a winner, and they will pose with this gorgeous, gorgeous belt. Round 1, question number 38. Overall, guys, year 2, what's new? Which second-year player will make the biggest sophomore surge this season? Here we go.
I'm going with Dennis Smith Jr. from the Dallas Mavericks. Very solid rookie campaign, and he finished strongly. There was no rookie wall for him. It's very tough for a rookie to convince Coach Rick Carlisle to play him. Now that he's done that for one season, I think he's going to get even more opportunities on the offensive end. Also, pairing with Luka Doncic, I think he's going to play a little bit off the ball, so we should see his game grow. I'm going with Dennis Smith Jr.
There are a million guys to pick for this. It feels like, right? Tatum, Ball, Mitchell,
Yeah.
Fox. I mean, Markelle Fultz can't get worse.
Ben Simmons.
But I'm going to go with John Collins from here in Atlanta. In 24 minutes per game last year, he was putting up 10 and 7. Those minutes are going to go up. Those numbers are going to go up. He's now playing with a very pass-happy point guard in Trae Young that's going to help create some easy looks for him. We already saw some in preseason. Dunking on full, so I'll go with John Collins, that sophomore surge.
Beautiful, beautiful. Round 2 coming up. Question number 39. It's time for a little tank top talk. Guys, tell me, what's the best New Jersey we'll see this season? Here we go.
The Orlando Magic are bringing back for some classic nights those 90s pinstripes.
Yeah.
To celebrate the franchise's 30th anniversary. Those are basically the exact same jerseys they wore on the road from 94 to 98. We're talking Penny and Shaq Magic. These look nice. I love these.
Yeah, they are beautiful. Smart move by the Orlando Magic. But check out this beauty from the Atlanta Hawks. They're going back to their inaugural season in 1968. Ironically, Vince's first year in the league as well. They're bringing back these powder blue ones. They are just gorgeous. I can't wait to see those down at the Fortress this year. I think they're just fantastic, and they look great. The red and the blue, you might think they clash, but they don't. They actually go quite well together.
They sort of look like almost like San Diego Clippers, like way
I'm
back
okay
in
with
the
both of
Buffalo
them.
Braves or something like that. I'm not the biggest fan of that.
Both technically old jerseys, but moving on to round 3, question number 40. It seems like just yesterday we were talking about verticality. You guys remember verticality. Anyways, what phrase will we hear ad nauseum this season? Here we go.
Three-peat. The Golden State Warriors are going for the three-peat. Every single thing they do this year is going to be about, the Warriors are going for a three-peat. Are they going to get a three-peat? Will we see a three-peat for the first time since 2002? Will Kevin Durant leave the Warriors?
Doesn't Pat Riley own the rights to three-peat, or am I
Kevin
crazy?
Durant possibly leave the Warriors if they three-peat. It's going to be all season long until we get to June, so that's it.
Okay, that's a good one. Tough to argue that one. I'm going to go with impeding progress, though. And you might say, what the heck is that?
What is that?
Every year, officials, right, they release sort of like a set of new rules to keep an eye on, to really try and crack down on. This year, one of them is impeding progress. So we're talking about like clutching guys, grabbing guys, holding guys, blocking guys, especially away from the ball.
Right.
We're going to hear a lot about impeding progress in the first couple of months, and then it will just disappear. Like
Will they go to Joe Borgia for
We'll go to
clarification?
Borgia for
All right, today's winner and still champion. It's a Lee Pete. Lee Ellis.
I'm going for the three-peat tomorrow night. Tune in at 5:30.
You're impeding my progress here on the show. All right, good win, Lily. Lots more from the starters. 50 burning questions when we return. Tonight on NBA TV, a little more preseason fun. Jazz versus the Kings. This one getting underway at 10 p.m. Eastern, but that's tonight. Looking ahead to tomorrow, we got our 5th and final part of the Starters NBA season preview series. We'll debate who wins most valuable player, always a fun question. Whether or not Blake Griffin is still a superstar, and who we have as this season's must-watch League Pass team. Shout out to Zach Lowe. Lee, congrats on the back-to-back wins. He'll be going for the three-peat tomorrow.
Yeah.
Who's up against me?
That's me.
Easy.
Booker Lee versus Taco Trae. What a battle we shall have.
Embrace the night, people.